Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and we got a very special guest today. Her name is Marilyn Raichle. She's the author of Don't Walk Away, and she grew up in the shadow of Alzheimer's. Nearly everyone in her father's family and many in her mother's developed this disease, and her mother, Jean, told her, when you get Alzheimer's, walk away. There's nothing you can do. So live your life and don't sacrifice it for us. But instead, Rachel became transformed, embracing the value and joy of the people who were living with, not suffering from dementia. Marilyn, welcome. Welcome to the show, and I'm so glad to have you. You know, it's funny, before we get started, my wife has been somebody who always somehow, I call her the dementia whisperer. She's been able to always connect with people that I don't know. I think people give up on, and they come out to our gardens. We have a little nonprofit garden, and they'll come out here, and they'll leave them to sit and stare at the garden a little while. My wife will come walk up to them. Next thing you know, she's having a conversation, and their eyes kind of go from gray to a little sparkly again. And yeah, I learned a long time ago that you can connect to people who don't seem like it. I didn't mean to overwhelm your conversation, but I just wanted to share a little something that I do have a little life experience that's taken me to where you're coming from. Welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I like to lead with a little bit of information from a bio, but most importantly, I like to have you come in and just tell your story. And it sounds like with the family that sort of has this sentence wrapped around them that says, well, this is how it's going to be. That's like, your grandma's got diabetes and your grandpa's got heart disease, so this is going to be your future. It's like, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be now, does it?
Well, my mother's family were Scottish Calvinists, so everything was sort of framed by that. And so it was interesting because I came to care, and I was a caregiver first and became a care partner later. But when Mom told us to walk away, my four brothers and sisters and I thought, okay, that makes sense. They're in a good place. They're going to be taken care of. Mom and Dad are together. So when Mom started to show signs of memory loss, okay, we sort of visited every once in a while, but that was it. And when I came back from graduate school, it was in the recession. There were no jobs. So my family said, okay, we're going to pitch our resources and we're going to keep you afloat and you're going to be the family caregiver.
Oh.
Well, this is not something I had planned on. I did not want to do it, and I was not good at it. So I took care of Mom and Dad's doctor's appointments. Dad was developing Parkinson's, Mom developing dementia. And I did what I could. And eyes were always on the clock, always thinking, walk away, walk away. And when Dad died at the age of 89, and they'd been best friends for 72 years.
Wow.
And I'd never seen Mother cry because there was a rule in the family that when someone died, no tears. Going back to the Scottish Calvinist. And
Right. Yeah. The Scottish have a whole different way of looking at things like that.
well, Scottish Calvinists, they all believe they're going to heaven. So there's no reason to cry.
All right.
So
have a big party instead, right?
Yeah, the basic word was next. And you're not supposed to have funerals and you're not supposed to have memorial services. You're supposed to completely ignore it. But Mom was really lonely. So I took her to a painting class at the place where she lived. And we didn't expect anything. She didn't expect anything. And her painting was really, really interesting.
Nice.
And it was good. And so I started going more often, fascinated by the art. And little by little, I began to accept, not fight, but accept where Mom and Dad were. And then one day something happened where her paintings to my eye became sort of scratchy, like she wasn't interested anymore. They weren't very good. And I thought, So I got there early for the painting class day. And I got there early. We did everything she liked to do. We played Scrabble, which we played every day until she died.
Wow.
We looked at the view. We took a walk. And then I took her to the painting class. And the painting completely changed. Warm animal images and different colors. And I thought, oh, I get it. I have a role to play in this. We're partners. We're partners in this. So together, from that day on, together, we built a life with late stage dementia, mid to late stage dementia. And I became her care partner. And it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
So it was when you were not engaged with her and she kind of just showed you that by doling out her painting and you caught that.
Well,
And
I always tell people to share joy because there's so many people who think whose entire framework about dementia is nothing but sorrow and loss. But
okay,
if that's your framework, that's all you will ever see.
right.
And once you give them the opportunity to experience joy and you can see them enjoying life, then that person you're missing emerges
I love that.
and everything changes. So it was, and I still didn't know much about caregiving, but from then on, for the next 9 years, we were together. And I learned something new every day. And I let go of the person who used to be, and I embraced the woman who was with me in the moment and living with, not suffering from. And every day I learned something new. And I always assumed that she was excited to have my visit, because at that point I was still only visiting like twice a week.
Uh-huh.
And when I got there, I thought, well, this is interesting. Mother's more excited about the people she lives with than me.
It's
And
not
I
all
realized
you know, is it?
mom had a new family.
Wow.
And fortunately for me, then they were willing to accept me as a member of their family. So I had 6 adopted new mothers. So it was just this wonderful experience. And I started to see every day. So it was like, ultimately, it was every single day. It wasn't that I needed to be there. I had to be there. She was everything she always was, slightly dim, changed, but ultimately who she was intact. Very funny, very competitive. And it was just this every day I learned something new. And in the process, I became a much happier and better person. That we were raised in a household where we knew mother loved us because that was her job. But the word was never spoken, ever.
Really?
Ever. And when mom and dad first moved to independent living at Horizon House, one day, and I lived not far from there, and one day she visited me and I was taking a nap. And she laid down next to me and she told me she loved me.
Wow.
And I remember crying.
Wow.
And then she said, I guess I should have said that more often.
No kidding.
That
Wow.
our lives as care partners unlocked all that love and
Wow.
gave it the chance to express itself. And so in the process of me being with mom and making her life better, she was making my life better.
Sure.
And it was just so wonderful. So every day I would be there with mom and all my adopted moms. And it was just I learned something every day. So it was so I took the paintings, and mother at this point resisted the idea that she painted.
Really?
When I would tell her that the paintings were so beautiful, she said, I didn't do that.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't do that. And one day I said, oh, everyone loves your paintings, mom. And she said, well, I must have gotten that from your father's side of the family. And I think it again had something to do with the Scottish thing. They all mother played the piano every day. Everybody was involved with the arts, but never painting. It was considered, I don't know why, but it was just like, no, I didn't do that. So, but I saved all the paintings because I didn't save them. She'd throw them away.
Oh, really?
And when I would show the paintings to people, their first reaction was always the same. I had no idea.
Huh.
The art, I used to say to people, Alzheimer's is scary, art isn't. So you look at the painting, and it was so interesting that it gave you a way to deal with the disease, but first enjoy the art that took care of the fear, got you all the way past the fear, and then you could talk about it, but not before. So I started to do art exhibits, and it was just so that was fun. And then
tell me about that. Like, how do you get involved? Like, how many paintings did she have?
Well, mom probably had, I've saved of all of mom's, I probably had about 300 of them.
Oh,
But then,
wow. Okay.
but the art exhibit, the first art exhibit I did, it was called The Artist Within, and it had 52 paintings by all these incredible people living with dementia, age 60 to 102.
Whoa.
And it was amazing. And so that's how I got involved in the art. The art's what pulled me in, but then it was just being with mom every single day and learning how to be a care partner. So when I was looking at your past shows with Teepa Snow, and I was reading all her comments, I was going, yes, I learned that the hard way. I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Right.
It was, and now that Christmas is coming up, one of the standard discussions was, okay, it's Christmas. We're going to have dinner. Should mom come? Because being away from assisted living made her anxious. And would she know anybody? So one year I took her to Christmas, or might have been Thanksgiving. And I just decided that, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm with her first. She comes first. If she starts to get anxious, we'll leave. But she sat there at the dinner table listening to everybody. I don't think she knew who everybody was. And at the end of dinner, she sat down at the piano and started to play.
Really?
And everybody applauded when she was through. And I remember thinking, she sat there looking around at all these friendly new faces.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just, for me,
she still remembered how to play the piano and all the songs that she knew. And
well, actually, it's really interesting because I took videos of this. She played since the time she was a little kid, but at a certain point, she forgot how to read sheet music.
Okay.
And so she developed her own special medley.
Oh,
she
really?
played, and it started with Silent Night. And at exactly the same moment, every single time, it morphed into Polly Wolly Doodle all day.
Sorry.
And I actually, in the book that I wrote about her, there is actually a recording of mom playing the piano when she's 96.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just, and once
what a strange juxtaposition of songs.
she was great. And then all of my adopted mothers. So that one of the things I did every day when I got there, I would ask all of the ladies at the ladies of assisted living, I call them, I'd ask them if they wanted a shoulder massage. And most of them wouldn't know what I meant, but they'd look at the person next to them going, oh, and they'd want one. So one day, Gloria came up to me and I got the best compliment of my entire life. She said, "Do you tuck your wings in a handkerchief when you're not here?" Yeah,
Wow.
she was great. It was just, so I learned how to relax. I learned how to enjoy the moment, because that's where mom lived. Enjoy the moment, and hop on for the ride. It was just,
that's such a beautiful lesson, though, because especially people that are successful or driven, they lose a lot of the joy sometimes in just staying focused and accomplishing. And and all of this.
Right.
The next thing you know, you blink and you're 20 years older, and you're like, what the heck did I just do?
Yeah. That's what I was like. And with mom, I learned how to relax. I learned how to listen and ask questions so that one thing she said over and over and over and over and over again, she said, what do you think Seattle is going to, that's where I live, Seattle. What do you think Seattle is going to be like in 50 years? And sometimes I'd make up stories about it and what I
Really?
thought it would be. And then I thought after a couple of years of her asking this question, I thought, well, obviously this means something to her. So I asked her, well, what do you think it's going to be like in 50 years? And she said, well, maybe we'll all fly. Maybe women will start wearing skirts again. And all these ideas started coming out. And I thought, what stories I missed
Right.
because I wasn't taking her seriously. So I learned to listen to her. I listened to ask questions. I listened to take her seriously. And I learned one huge lesson, the lesson of enduring personhood. There's certain things that we as human beings all share, and they never leave us. And one is the need for friends,
Mm-hmm.
and one is the need to be of value.
Mm-hmm.
One is to laugh, and one is to love and to be loved.
Sure.
These never leave us. And I learned to start sharing. I learned to become a human being.
Nice.
I was raised in this really, really competitive household where all you needed to do, the most important thing was to win.
Okay.
And with mom, assisted living, I used to confound people when I would tell them that I would go to assisted living to relax because it's so calm. There are no deadlines. There's nothing there but love. And it was just, and I would, it was just so wonderful.
Nice.
And mom's family, my family, when mom died at 96, I actually went back to assisted living the very next day to relax.
Really?
Yeah. And Ruby, who was from Atlanta, and she looked at me and she held up this red plastic flower. And I think about Jean every time I see this. You want to know why? And I said, why? And she said, because she tried to eat it. And so she made me laugh. And I just felt safe. And it took a conscious will of effort to rejoin the world because I found it so peaceful and so serene with them. And I know that sounds odd because there are lots of people who have a really difficult transition. But I've always thought that if so much of people's anger in living with dementia comes because we are not really sure how to deal with them. The
Right.
whole, one of the worst questions you can ask somebody is, do you remember or don't you remember? Well, no.
Yeah.
And it just makes them anxious. It makes you anxious.
Right. Right. Yeah. And confused and maybe frustrated and all these things, being made aware of something that you don't know about anymore.
Right.
Why would you
Yeah.
do that?
And not listening to them but embracing them as genuine people. And that my goal in life is there's so many people, the vast majority of people think of people who live with dementia as not worth living, as having no value, as lives having no value.
Mm-hmm.
And until we accept the fact that people who live with dementia are valuable people with lives to live and gifts to give, we will never put effort and finances and resources into their support,
Agreed.
enabling them to live with happiness and meaning and purpose and joy, which they can't.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and We have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters. And for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you. Now, you talk about two different terms. One is Alzheimer's and one is dementia.
Yeah.
And are these interchangeable? I know Alzheimer's is like a diagnosable condition. It has sort of parameters, and dementia is kind of a broad sweeping descriptor. But is there anything more than that, or do we use these words interchangeably?
Because of all of this, my new job now is working with I'm now in the biz of dementia care.
All right.
And so my new job now is working with Mods Awards for Innovation in Alzheimer's Care, which we now wish we had called dementia care, because Alzheimer's is just too scary. It stops the conversation. So I tend to go back to dementia, even though it's a vast, I mean, we used to say, okay, all sorts of things happen to you when you get old. You can experience mild cognitive impairment. You start to forget things. Everybody does. And of that number,
it happens early on, I tell you that.
yeah. And of that number, some people develop dementia. And of that number, some people develop Alzheimer's. Well, that's too technical. I'm just saying dementia. That's what most of us say now.
Got it. So all Alzheimer's is dementia, but not all dementia is Alzheimer's.
Correct. Yeah.
There you go. Fair enough. So this Mods Awards for Innovation in Alzheimer's Care. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, so the man who founded it, his name is Richard Ferry, and his wife because he loved and adored his wife. And in 2013, she started to develop dementia. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what to do. He had no idea. And so he read and looked. And then he finally thought, well, all right, I will start this program where we're going to give away $100,000 every year for programs of excellence in Alzheimer's care. Okay. And so every year so I get to run it, which is so exciting.
Wow.
And so every year
gives away money. I like that.
Every year we give away $100,000 for innovations in Alzheimer's care, and we're now entering our 6th year. And you can go to Mods Awards, MAUDES, modsawards.org. And it's nice to be able to get older and still do good things. And so that's what I do now.
Like, do you guys search out groups or individuals that are in that world, or do they apply, or how does that all work out?
Well, it's actually a really simple, they apply.
Okay.
There are only 6 questions, and it's not a grant. So it's an award for something that one has done. And our challenge is to reach more individuals. So any organization, any individual, for-profit, nonprofit, is open. Nice. And it's always looking for something that has made life better and happier and more enriched for people who are living with dementia.
Is this regional, national, international?
National. Okay. National and territories.
All right.
Yeah. One woman from a territory schooled me on that one, and I said, "You're absolutely right." and so that's what I'm doing now. Although I'm still. What was difficult is during COVID, I couldn't go back and see all of my moms. I wasn't allowed to go back. And most of them now have passed, which is too bad that I didn't get to see them.
I think that was one of the most difficult elements of COVID, was that people weren't able to spend time together, and they weren't allowed to even.
Right. I wasn't allowed in, which was really irritating, considering that I was sort of a part of the family.
Right.
And, but they were up until the moment, because after mom died, I still worked with them for another, um, was always there for another 4 years.
Oh,
And then one woman, Evelyn, she was 104
whoa.
and she didn't have dementia, but she was 104 and she needed support. And so she became my next mom. She
All
was,
right.
and so my only experience with hospice is that at 105, Evelyn was in hospice, and I went to see her, and I sat down next to her, and I told her I loved her, and she opened her eyes, and she said, "Life is so beautiful," and she closed her eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was actually, it was what was even better is that when she was 104, she wasn't feeling well. And she decided that she was going to die. And everybody in the building said, "Oh, Evelyn, we're going to miss you so much." And I said, "Evelyn, I'm going to make you some cookies." And so every Christmas, I would make this ridiculous number of incredibly rich cookies. So I took her this plate of really wonderful cookies, and
Nice.
she revived.
Decided not to die today, right?
And so from then on, all the ladies of assisted living decided that my cookies were the secret to a long life.
I love it. I love
And
it.
every time I got there, Ruby would look at me and she said, "Get in the kitchen and start cooking."
Keep those cookies coming.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. Well,
So, yeah.
tell me a little bit about Don't Walk Away.
Oh, so I wrote, this is what, because of what mom said, but it's called Don't Walk Away. So
Yeah,
mom said, walk away, which
right.
I was prepared to do. But once I realized that that was a mistake, that I walked back in and how rewarding, how enriching it was for both of us.
Hmm.
So I wrote this book because I'd written every single thing mom and I did and said together
Oh,
all
wow.
those years. So I wrote this book about, so it's very short, illustrated by all of her art.
Oh,
And so
nice.
these short stories about me and mom,
Okay.
starting at the beginning and when I was in deep denial, up until after to the day she died. And it was all with her artwork. And
Nice.
so it's really just it's a book. I stopped reading books about dementia
Hmm.
because they were so depressing,
Right.
so depressing. This book is uncharacteristically happy and hopeful. And so
Nice.
if my goal in life is to change the narrative from despair to hope, and this is like take a walk with me and mom and experience the joy that we did and how she changed my life and how it was the most rewarding, wonderful thing I've ever done. And plus, the art's fabulous. And so it's this short book. And so it's all about me and mom and filled with lessons and laughter.
I love it. I love it. And how does somebody find the book?
Well, you can get it at Amazon, but there's a trick to Amazon because it turns out there are a ton of books that are called Don't Walk Away.
Oh, of course there
And
are.
so you actually have to put the whole title in, which is Don't Walk Away, a care partner's journey. Otherwise,
Got
you're
it.
going to get lost in a sea of who knew.
Ah,
And we're working on actually opening up all sorts of platforms that will get us into Art Barnes and Noble, but that hasn't been sealed yet.
got it.
Um, but it's right now it's on Amazon and it's fun.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, mom and me,
I
and
love it.
mother made me laugh on her deathbed.
Nice.
That is not easy to do.
I would say
She,
that would be the ultimate goal of life, right?
well, they were raised by a Republican banking family during the Depression, and they hated Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Anytime mother heard the word or saw the name, she would look at me and go, "We didn't like him." And I said, "I know." So she's on her deathbed. Her blood sugar has spiked to 600. She's in a coma. And my brother and sister and I are standing around her. We're singing to her and we're telling her we love her. And I mentioned her dislike of the Roosevelt Hotel, and she flinched.
Yeah.
So I knew she could hear me and I knew she understood me. So for the next 2 days, I sat next to her and held her hand and talked.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that. Well, Marilyn, if you have a thought that you could leave our audience with, what do you think that would be?
People who live with dementia are wonderful people with gifts to give and lives to live. Don't be afraid. Relax. Ask questions and listen.
I love that. And is there any contact information with either you or your organization or both that you'd like to share with us?
Well, if you're interested in more about the book, you can go to don'twalkaway.net. That'll take you to the book site.
Okay.
And if you're interested in Maud's Awards, which opens in March, that's Maud's Awards, MAUDES, maudsawards.org.
Fantastic. Well, as I suspected, you were a little hesitant when we first got started, a little unsure of yourself, and I knew we were going to have a great conversation. I want to tell you, we had a great conversation. I love
Oh,
your
thank you.
story. I love your work. I love the messages that you have, and you've been a beautiful guest for this podcast, and I would always welcome you to come back and share more.
Well, thank you. It's very nice of you to say. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, this has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. I want to thank all of our listeners for making this show possible, and we will see you next time. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.